Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, trophy hunters of all ages. This is a 26th episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. I'm your host tonight, CJ, a.k.a. Solo Gamer, a.k.a. the Trophy Hunter. And I'm joined tonight, as always, by Mr. Clothing Option himself. He's most definitely not a noob. Big D, a.k.a. that Naked Gamer. And we're joined tonight, as always, by the hot taken, Twitter beef Megan, gamer mediocre himself, Woodsy, a.k.a. the Mav.
I'm the Ghostface Killer tonight.
Ghostface Killer, good
Wu-Tang!
big brother extraordinaire.
Wu-Tang!
So
I'm going to actually turn this off because it just sucks.
We need a green screen. I made that decision earlier. I had this cool Ghost of Tsushima background, and I decided against that because I was having the same damn problem, man. So we thank you, the listener, for tuning in to hear all the rarest takes in the gaming podcast sphere. As always, we bring you our own unique takes on all things video games, all while recording and publishing our episodes edit-free. We bring you our podcast, so you all the listening staples every Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, depending on where you are. You can find our show on Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public and Anchor. If you'd like to see our ugly mugs for whatever reason, you can check out the YouTube channel, the Raw Cuts Gaming channel. So, with all the rigmarole out of the way, we bring you the weekly topics. So it's going to be all things in video games this week. We'll get into what we've been playing as always, and then maybe a little bit of what you've been smoking. We'll see what the boys are up to with that. So, with all that being said, Big D, what you been playing, man?
He has.
Allegedly. Woodsy, what you been up to?
I also was not on a ton last week. Just got basically tired of watching so much football all day and passed out on the weekend. But no, I did play a lot of Ghost of Tsushima, a little Call of Duty, Black Ops, and then actually played Lego Marvel Superheroes 1 with my daughter, which she was into because like a couple of her best friends at her like little preschool are kids by the name of Jacob and Isaac. And all of a sudden she comes home and she's like, "Daddy, watch Spider-Man?" And I'm like, "I never taught you about Spider-Man, girl." And then she comes home this week, she's like pretending she has a cape with her blanket. She's like, I'm hero. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, she definitely hangs out with these boys all day at school, and their influence is washing off. So played that game for a little while. It's actually kind of fun. I kind of bought them hoping I would play them with my daughter. She's kind of watching, but because she's 2.5, but it's still pretty fun. So Spider-Man, yeah.
I've been. I mentioned last week that I beat Spider-Man, platinumed it, Miles Morales. So I did jump into Ghosts this week. Woodsy, you definitely did not undersell this game. I know you wax poetic about it, but I've been playing it a bit so far. Played a bit of the multiplayer with you guys, kind of horde mode or waves of dudes has been a lot of fun. Some of the multiplayer games I do enjoy playing. I really like playing Gears back in the 360 days and playing horde with my buddy Johnny B and a couple other guys and D also. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of that, not the gameplay wise, but just kind of the game loop, I guess, per se.
Sure.
So I've been having I had a lot of fun playing the multiplayer mode. I like playing PvE versus more than PvP. A lot of times I hop into these PvP games in and out, and I always feel so overwhelmed that I don't want to put the time in to get good per se. So I don't ever end up having a lot of fun. So I enjoyed that. Got into the single player mode. I've been trying to play a little bit more of that. I haven't had a ton of time to play either this week. But when I have played, I've been enjoying it. I've been just kind of riding around on my horse. I picked the Black Stallion, and just kind of doing a lot of the side content. I open up the map and I see the mainline missions and I see all these question marks and squares along the way that I can go to, and I've just been kind of enjoying kind of riding around doing these side missions. So so far so good. I like the progression in the game. I mentioned this to you, Woodsy, I think, and I think you're on there too. But I like that most everything costs a point versus some of these other upgrade modes where it's like, hey, now this costs 2 points. So you got to knock out some of this other BS stuff you don't want to necessarily unlock to get to this higher upgrade. You can just kind of, hey, I just want to do the dodging, or I just want to focus on my senses or whatever, and you can just dump that point in there. Now it's going to cost other cool upgrades, but it gives you a little more flexibility to do what you want to do. A lot of cool upgrades in the game. Whenever I go to upgrade something, I'm always like, oh man, I really want to do this, but I just kind of want to hammer this out. So
I found myself when I was choosing my paths or what I found to be most beneficial to complement my playstyle from an upgrade tree perspective. I felt like every time I was upgrading, I was making a plan. I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit this one first, definitely this one next, and then definitely that one after that. Because I was always weighing what was best to complement how I rolled through that game.
So, and most of it's laid out for you. A lot of times, sometimes they hide behind certain walls or mystery walls of what upgrades could be. It's all there right away, pretty much off the jump for you. So you can kind of lay that out if you want. So I thought that was pretty cool. The charms have been kind of a nice little addition where you can kind of stack buffs and bonuses onto yourself. So yeah.
Well, so far, so good. One of the things I focused on right away was you get the upgrade your Kuni. And then I upgraded I forget the name of the stance, but it's the stance that goes against the basic shield guys, because I was never that good. Yeah, I wasn't that great at fighting them straight away. And then so my strategy in anything was whenever I walked up and they did the challenge thing or whatever, I would do it on the bigger guy in the hope that all the big guys would come at me so I could take them out. Then I'm prepared for the shield guys, and then the sword guys are nothing.
Right.
So that's how
I love parrying them. It kind of comes a little bit from Souls with the parry when you hit the perfect parry, and then you can also do the stab with the triangle, and it's just very satisfying.
Yes.
To one shot these guys.
Yeah.
I also like one more quick thing I want to touch on is the fast travel. Some games you can fast travel certain signposts. Some games is a few places. This game is pretty much any point of interest almost. As long as you've achieved it, you can fast travel to it. So if you kind of go off down a path and oh man, I want to get back there, but I don't want to traverse the map.
Mm-hmm.
Pick the nearest point of interest you want to hop to. Any point, Foxden or a tower or a lighthouse or whatever you want to do, and it's yours for the fast travel. So man, so far so good. I'm enjoying the single player game, so that's why it's kind of
that's a very understated point of the quality of life that they put into that game. I will agree, because it'd be one thing if you could only travel to the next nearest city, but it really is. It's every point of interest you could travel to, which helps with collecting the other points of interest.
Exactly.
Do the platinum.
Yep, and that's part of my path right now. Is I'll hit a question mark, and I'm I'll clear a section out, and I see the main the golden path is way off down in the southern part of the map, and I'm I don't want to head down there yet. Let me just jump across the map to do this, and I unlock that, and just kind of stacks upon itself. So it really kind of encourages
Right.
you to hit these question marks in the dens and,
Yeah.
and whatnot before.
Well, and it's just nice too to be able to fast travel back to them because, like I said, because then you can dot the area, but then also like you'll find there's special merchants that once you have acquired so many flowers, finally I can go back to get this armor die or whatever.
And that's another undersold part too of like, hey, it lays out very clearly how far along in the progression you are needing to upgrade your katana or upgrade your armor, and then it says, hey, you can upgrade one thing, and then it highlights where the merchants are, and it's super simple to navigate around the map. So much appreciated quality of life pieces in that game. So yeah. No, some games you have to think, well, what do I need for this upgrade, and where do I go to get that guy, and
Or you run into weight carrying restrictions and all this other stuff.
Yeah. All the pain points of my beloved Souls game.
I mean, it's very much more of a action game than it is an RPG game. I mean, I expect that sort of stuff from Fallout, where even though Fallout is an action game, its roots are more RPG based. This is the inverse of that. So I like that they don't have a lot of that restraining, more draconian RPG type stuff.
Totally agree. So yeah, that's enough waxing poetic for Ghost for right now. I'm sure we'll get into that plenty while I'm on my death march to the platinum in that game. So that being said, let's get into some news. We got a bunch of news this week. The last few weeks kind of gotten away from the news for the most part for kind of our end of year wrap up kind of things. But this week we're out ready to go with a bunch of fun news. So let's start off with Bethesda Games, a big teaser that dropped today. So pull behind the curtain a little bit. We decided to punt the show by a day to account for the national title game. And I'm glad we did, because Bethesda Games announced that one of their subsidiary, Machine Games, has been tasked and given the IP of making an Indiana Jones game. Did you guys, did you watch the stinger for that at all? There wasn't much there, but what are your thoughts on it? So Indiana Jones does it for you, huh?
Wow, I didn't know you were a huge Indiana Jones fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Dr. Jones! Hey, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Myst game, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't at all think it's going to be a point and click game. But I was just actually writing in our Twitter together. I was like, it'd be a good, interesting topic to be like, could you imagine what would the point and click game have to be these days for it to be like super popular? Like, no, this could be like photorealism. This could be like photorealism, but like, what would it like? I feel like we are. I think the generations that enjoyed those sorts of games are definitely like the minority nowadays. It's like Bingo. But I think if they make it anything like an Uncharted game or anywhere close to being like an Uncharted game, it'll be very successful. So and that's really the bottom line. And it was interesting today on like Twitter, people were being like, "Oh, it's weird that everybody's comparing Uncharted to or this Indiana Jones game to Uncharted when Uncharted really is just Indiana Jones the video game." And then people are like, right, but there never really was a good Indiana Jones the video game. So now this could be Indiana Jones the Uncharted game. So
Full circle.
It'll be interesting to see how it turns out. And I can't imagine it's going to be console exclusive. I highly doubt.
I don't think so. So that's the kind of the question floating around. Like, this is going to be Xbox's Uncharted, you know, but will it be Xbox's, you know, Uncharted?
So
alone Uncharted. So 1 year. Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to do that either, because even though it's being done by one of the Bethesda studios, and Bethesda studios are in whatever all owned by Microsoft. The bottom line is, as we're going to talk about later, is it's not a property they own, right? Disney owns the property and is now managing the game development under the newly renamed Lucasfilm Games or LucasArts Games, whatever the hell it is they did.
Yeah.
That we're going to talk about in a minute. So I think just given that thing, there's no way. I don't think. Why would Disney be like, we'll make 1/3 of what we could make, or we could make all of it?
Yeah.
Like, right. Yeah.
So another a tidbit that's came out though, it sounds like it's going to you know, be its own story. So they're not going to try to remake one of the movies, which I think is key. And it's going to be Indy at the height of his powers. So it's not going to be young Indy. It's not going to be old Indy, you know, and the Crystal Temple or whatever. Yeah.
Is it technically then a prequel to the movies?
Well, so it's going to be, I think it's going to be somewhere either a prequel or kind of,
or like in between like 1 and 2 or something.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's, I mean, I think it's their way of saying it's not going to be young Indy. It's not going to be an origin story. And it's not going to be him, you know, the one that they just trotted out with Sasha Baron or whatever his name is, whatever his name is. But yeah, so it's exciting. And then I don't know if you guys saw the image floating around on, I think IGN had the news story for this one. But Todd Howard was on a Zoom call or with, you know, a bunch of video game heads talking somewhere on some whatever YouTube show or something, and he had like a little golden statue like up behind his shoulder. Yeah, so now this is kind of like there's been multiple times when people have gone back on these various
and there's little Easter eggs being hidden around.
Hidden in there. Yeah, so everyone's been kind of combing through every single Xbox persona now, I think, going forward to see what they're trying to signal is coming next. So kind of a cool image. If you guys want to look it up, maybe we'll retweet it from the account. So yeah. So in more Xbox news, this week it came out that from PureXbox.com that Xbox had gone out to every major publisher recently, or kind of with the EA, and asked them if they wanted to kind of partner with Game Pass. EA was the first one to bite off on it, and it sounds like Ubisoft is kind of in the works to make an announcement here relatively soon. But it sounds like Xbox is really pushing these partnerships with various publishers. Wesley, do you see anything the publishers coming to Game Pass or whatnot?
You know, this is the thing that it's an interesting thing for them to come out with, because like, wasn't their deal or partnership with the EA service supposed to happen, and then just on the day it was supposed to launch, they announced that it was getting delayed?
Oh, really? I thought that was already up and running. I guess I didn't hear that.
So, like, you know, people were probably some people definitely jumped on to get Game Pass Ultimate specifically because of these added and advertised additional partnerships. Granted, now I think that partnership was only worth a year or even 6 months. I think it was a year though. But like, and then it expired, and then if you still wanted it, you'd have to start paying for EA. So that's the thing. Is like, okay, so say they approached all these other companies about getting their service offering platform or whatever their version of the EA Play thing is onto the Xbox. Sure, they might be like, they didn't really say, is this going to be included in Game Pass Ultimate? And at the same time, it's like, is it just they're allowing them on their platform, or what's going on here? Because if ultimately, if you're going to subscribe to all these services independently from one another, you know, Ubisoft and Game Pass and
Uplay,
yeah. I mean, you're looking at $50 a month, right, for video games, just for all those subscriptions. So I don't know. I mean, it'll work for some people. Well, I think it's almost like entrapment, not enchantment, but I don't know. Like, it's you get suckered in by the deal. Like, I'll sign up, and then you forget to cancel, and then you're like, well, I have it for this month, and then you forget to cancel again, right? And they bank on that. They obviously bank on that. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's going to work. I mean, to have them on your platform as an offering, sure, great. Are people realistically going to subscribe to like 3 or 4 different things just for games? I mean, you only got so much time in the month anyways. I mean, I don't know. Right. Or maybe they start bundling them together at a slight discount, or who knows?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to become the cable TV of fucking video games.
EA Play.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're going for, is just instead of having Uplay and EA Play and Game Pass and whatever other service you might want to have, they just want to kind of get them all under one umbrella, so they don't have all these various Amazon and Netflix and Hulu and all other and HBO, and get under one umbrella. And if they can do that, that's definitely, makes it more and more attractive for the Xbox crowd. So I guess we'll see. These next few years are going to kind of shake out this whole streaming wars of video games, and it's kind of the exciting future. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I hope that PlayStation has this long rumored answer to the Game Pass. I'm excited to see how Sony can kind of combat that, per se. So you teased this a few minutes ago, Woodsy, but Lucasfilms kind of came out and announced that they are reestablishing Lucasfilm Games. So this is what you're alluding to a few minutes ago. Not a whole lot of news here other than that Lucasfilm Games is back. But on gamesindustry.biz, Rebecca Valentine has a nice write-up where she kind of goes into, this Lucasfilm Games has existed for many, many years, and it got shuttered when Disney bought the rights to Lucasfilms and kind of shuttered their whole gaming department. But now they kind of want to rebrand their image. And kind of similar to what I think kind of what PlayStation Studios does, is kind of when you boot up a PlayStation game, the PlayStation Studio logo launches, and you hope that you're getting a quality game with that brand. I think Lucasfilms is really trying to go that direction. So, you have anything more you want to say about the Lucasfilm Games at all, Woodsy? Or
not a ton. I just find it interesting that they didn't go the old brand, LucasArts, right? And is it actually called Lucasfilms Games or just Lucas Games? I forget.
Lucas.
That's odd. It's an odd name, but whatever. I think it's cool because clearly Disney plans, like when when it's time to re-up a licensing agreement with a various publisher, right? Or maybe they will start self-publishing it at some point, which wouldn't shock me. But I think it'll be not that it isn't already, but it's more of a larger package deal, I feel like now. Say, here's all these properties. If you have the licensing rights, this is what you have access to. So, yeah.
Did you
I
talk
don't
about Lucasfilm Games at all? Or? Well, now that's appropriately labeled. Hopefully, they can, make some of these better games. Speaking of one of the, I guess, Lucasfilm games or the EA games or whatever, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is getting the next gen update. So
already happened, actually.
Oh, it happened already? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. So this comes from EA.com, but go ahead, Woodsy. What you got from that?
So basically just performance boosts for both for the game on new consoles. It's not like a remaster version, but similar to what they did with Ghost of Tsushima, where they upped the resolution in frames per second, and it's slightly differing between the Series X and the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 is basically one steady mode, and the Xbox Series X has a fidelity mode and a performance mode that you can switch between the two. Awesome. It's nice that they're they've kind of weirdly supported that game way past anybody expected them to, which is great. And I just love that people are doing these little enhancements to games that don't seem to be that difficult. They're just unlocking frame rates and unlocking resolution. So I hopefully more publishers or developers of games continue to just do that, just as a nice little fan service.
Yeah, it sounds like it's upping the frame rates. On PS5 it said it was running at 45, now it's at 60, and the processing increased to 1440, and the rendering is now at 1200, so up from 1080. So yeah, so a little bit of support there for Lucasfilm game. So anything with you, D, on the Jedi Fallen Order? Did you play Jedi Fallen Order yet or no? It's a good time, man. It's a good time. It's a single player game, kind of Soulsy like, where it's kind of
actually, D, I can just borrow that to you if you'd like. Anyway, edit free.
Yes. So here's another story here for you. Killzone. Sounds like Sony may be sunsetting the old Killzone franchise. They recently retired the Killzone website, disabling some of the features in game. Woodsy, I saw you scoff there a little bit. What are your thoughts on the old Killzone franchise being sunset potentially?
So my initial reaction, even up to part of today, was that I was just like gonna bitch about this the whole time. I was not being happy about it, and I'm still not happy about it. I did like the Killzone series. I thought it was a great series, but then I was actually listening to the Kind of Funny the XOXO podcast, and the title of it got me thinking, is like, why this is actually a good thing that this is getting sunsetted. And it is official. If you go on the website, it's like Killzone is no longer a thing, but we're still going to support Shadowfall. They straight up say that. So it's gone. I mean, obviously, I doubt they're going to abandon the trademarks and shit, but nevertheless, that game was a game that, and that series in general, is a game that I think Sony felt it needed to have to compete with Halo. And it never ever got anywhere near as big as Halo. The whole hullabaloo about the Killzone 2 trailer for the at the PlayStation 3 reveal is like now completely notorious as like a video that was over promising via CGI, to what you ultimately got. Granted, the Killzone 2 was good, but it wasn't anywhere near what the trailer was showing it off to be for the PS3. And it was a good game series, but it was never going to be their Halo. And they've kind of gone in this new direction now, where they've, it's interesting, right? Because part of the criticism of Sony first-party studios are that all it creates are a bunch of third-person narrative-driven action-adventure games. Which, okay, there's some validity there insofar as that being a criticism, but they're all pretty damn successful. and those sorts of exclusives are really what are driving people to be buying PlayStations, as their console preference. But I do think Sony should maybe start branching its wings a little bit more again, and because they haven't put out a first, I guess Killzone, Shadowfall was the last Killzone, right? The one that came out for the PlayStation 4, and that was a launch game for that console. That was a long time ago. And Resistance hasn't been reignited since prior to that. And granted, that's an Insomniac title, and they've had their hands full since then. So it'll be interesting to see if they revive that, like the Resistance titles at all. That to say that they have a FPS as part of their first party portfolio, or if they'll bring back a SOCOM or maybe even a Siphon Filter. I feel like they have so many assets under their belt that they really haven't leveraged now, and anywhere like 2 whole console cycles for some of them.
Right.
So I feel like they should be bringing some of these back potentially. Like, when's the last time we saw a Twisted Metal game or stuff like that? It's sad that Killzone is gone. I understand why they're sunsetting it, but whether that's because they're going to maybe rehash on some of their older properties that they have under the belt, or they actually are going to try to kick off another new IP, which I would greatly encourage, and hopefully it's in a different genre, because it would be cool to have, like, other they have some, right? They're probably their biggest IP that isn't currently a third-person action adventure title is Gran Turismo, right? So hopefully it'll be in a genre they haven't explored in a while. That's all I got to say. Sorry, there's a lot.
No worries. Anything from you, D, on Killzone? I didn't play any of the Killzone games, so I have not much to say on that. So. Yeah. So the next story I want to get into is, I don't know if you guys saw this at all, but Gotham Knights creator Rocksteady came out and said that they had to completely revamp the combat style. And that was more so, they said it won't be completely foreign to you when playing the game. They had an article that came out on where did I find this from? Essentially sports.com. And it sounds like they did so to accommodate from being a multiplayer game. So they knew they couldn't just kind of drop in the tried and true Arkham style into a multiplayer game, but had to revamp it. Now time will tell of what that is. But D, and that change your thoughts on, I know we touched on it a little bit last week, but does Gotham Knights change for you at all now that you hear that the combat style is changing, or no? Yeah. Right.
Right. There's because of that time slowdown stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, good point. Yeah. So here's another fun, positive story for you.
Wait, hold on one second. I just wanted to ask you guys one questions on that game.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
So it mentions, so they're prepping it for a multiplayer mode, clearly.
Right.
I'm hopeful, but I'm not optimistic
otherwise
that it's going to be games of service-ish.
Yeah.
I hope it's not. Like the online multiplayer that they're going to bring with this game. Is it going to be like games of service-y? I think what that means is like Ghost Recon or Destiny or
Like
the other Ubisoft gun game we play, pew pew pew. You know, that those are games of service games.
Yeah.
So I hope it doesn't become that.
I don't know. It depends on if they have more of the narrative base. It's always kind of hard to make these narrative based multiplayer games because then you're kind of relying on everyone to kind of either play together or I'll be caught up together, you know? So sometimes these other loops they can kind of skirt that a little bit where the story doesn't quite matter as much. So I guess time will tell, but probably it's kind of the route they have to go with that. So we'll see. So Woodsy, here's one for you, an exciting story for all of us, but more specifically Tsushima Island. Fans put together a crowdfunding campaign to raise money to restore a torii gate that got destroyed by a hurricane. And they've raised over, roughly $260,000 to restore this gate. So Woodsy, what I know you kind of mentioned a little bit about this. What did you see about this?
Well, just it's cool. It's positive. People love the game. It's clearly fostered interest amongst the persons who have played it in feudal Japan, and to read about the history of the Mongolian invasions of Tsushima Island, which did occur multiple times. And it's cool that people have such a fondness and perhaps a love and respect for the game and some of the things it was trying to tell, and then for gaining an appreciation for both Buddhism and Taoism. I think it's wonderful that people decide to try to help rebuild, a torii gate, which to them previously may have meant absolutely nothing because they just didn't know about it and they didn't have this experience with this game that encouraged them to try to help out something that they were probably completely oblivious to, including myself. I have no idea hurricanes ravaged various torii gates. I pray to God they could do more with that $250,000. It's like $250,000. I have no idea how much it is going to cost to fix one torii gate. $250,000? I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so maybe at least fix two out of three, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. So
yeah.
Right. It's just a positive story for the video game community too, right? It's just like it's right.
It's a great point, D. Yeah, a positive story and kind of a trying time, specifically kind of around the world, but really rough times in here in the States with some big time assholes.
Oh, I mean, CJ, I know you would donate to medieval European death palaces if you could, but
I would keep anything to keep my fictional world of souls alive, man.
Right.
Okay, so here's some kind of news, kind of a couple stories here back to back of release date. So D, it came out I think yesterday that the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, kind of long rumored to be released in Q1. I think they're kind of targeting March, but it sounds like the article from trying to credit where credit's due here. Push Square came out and Push Square, thank you. Came out and said that March 12th is looking like the date. So it sounds like maybe 2 months from today. Very exciting there. So here's the story. I kind of put this kind of towards the back of our news section, but this is the one I'm probably by far most excited for. Hitman Trilogy Edition. So 2 pieces of news here. They said this before, but it was confirmed by IO that the game will be 100% playable in VR mode. I've been a long detractor of VR. I'm not the cord and the graphics, I'm not a huge graphics whore, but just like whenever like the graphics aren't quite up to snuff, it bothers me. It looks kind of cheap.
For what? Sorry, for Hitman?
No. Just in VR in general.
Oh, right.
You're not hitting these. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a graphics core and I'm not a snob, but like it's just not reaching kind of what I'm used to playing. And yeah,
You know what I
and
hear? You know what I hear?
what do you hear?
A bunch of salty bitch talk because you don't have a PlayStation VR.
And that's by choice. But if VR2 comes out and is cordless and has some better graphics, then definitely maybe. But I mean, I mean, with this being in VR, you see cool things like Hitman's the ultimate, like, can I do this game, right? Can I kill this guy this way? Can I do this, that, or the other? And usually the answer is yes. If you think it up, you can pretty much do it. Well, they have the gameplay looks of the folks playing it in VR where they go up and tap the dude on like the opposite shoulder, and the dude like turns around and he like turns back around, pop him right in the face, So,
well, I love this shit too. As I was thinking about, like, they show the one thing where he's literally blind firing around the corner.
Yeah.
Right. So then, are you also going to be able to do some like if you got like an extra long cord extension, do some Max Payne shit, like dive around the hallway, two guns, pop, 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 pop.
Well, I mean, think about it too. Like you can do like that where you're like crawling up the like a hose pipe or something, and you can like reach up and grab the dude and throw him off.
And do it in fiber wiring, motherfuckers, is going to be dope. Like,
yeah, that's very cool, man. It's very cool. So.
Yeah, right.
the old bring the power glove back. Yeah, yeah, very cool.
I think and it's outstanding to me. Every single Hitman level, every single one, not just the ones in 3, all the ones from 1 and 2 and 3.
Well, I mean, Paris. I mean, these iconic levels, Miami,
I know.
the raceway, like just so many top to bottom. So
I still have played Paris by far and away more than any of the other ones.
Well, it was the one that they gave away for free. They gave you the dopamine hit. It's level 1. It's one of the coolest ones. Paris, for those of you who haven't played the game, takes place at a fashion show. And you can literally dress Hitman up and walk the runway. You can get up in the rafters. They have all these little story missions you can do where you can follow along the little clues and get the really cool kills. So you can do the thing where like you drop the whole rafters down on the dude, you sabotage the stage. So when the guy's out on stage, you can kill him. But man, level to level is so cool. So that being said, this is the news I found out today that had me so hyped. So we knew some of the levels in Hitman, but all the levels for 3 have been revealed. Now, I don't know if there's any DLC or per se or not, but Dubai is the first level. Then so that's the big one that they had. Then they have Dartmoor. In the UK, that's the Knives Out level where you're doing the murder mystery. You're coming in as a detective, you're listening on people's conversations and whatnot. Berlin, Germany, so hype. China, Argentina, and the mountains of Romania. So as is always the case in these games, the levels are all very diverse. They're very diverse from the previous 2 games. All games in the trilogy, you're going to India in the slums and whatnot, and then you're going to a farm out in Colorado and this out of the other, and it's just so cool. So I was so excited to see that. I think I knew about China, the UK one, and Dubai, but it's kind of cool to see Argentina, Romania, and also Germany. So I was pretty stoked about that. So
they've always had I've always loved those games for sort of being Bond or Mission Impossible-esque, where they're just jet setting all over for the missions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the last piece of news that had me most excited was the game has 47 trophies. So, very little Agent 47-ish. So someone put some effort and thought in there. With Hitman 2, you could play all of Hitman 1 in there. And with that, there was no platinum trophy, which made me a little bit sad, but you also could re-earn all of the trophies from Hitman 1. So there was like 100 some odd trophies in Hitman 2. A little overwhelming for anyone, but everything was its own DLC pack. But Hitman 3 just has 47 trophies, which tells me I don't have to replay Hitman 1 and 2 to completion to get the platinum. And that being said, there is a platinum in game. So I am going to get my beloved, come hell or high water, Hitman Platinum And judging me where I'm at platinum wise, hopefully it'll be my 60th platinum. So yeah. So yes, I will. Because that is the one game that I'm like, yes, this is a VR seller for me. Just cut the cord and give me some better graphics, and I will buy a VR. So yeah. So speaking of buying things, the very sleek and sexy PlayStation 2 designed PlayStation 5, the black PS5 that was for sale, has been pulled. Yep, it was pulled due to safety concerns. So the company who was hawking these PlayStation 5s was not quite prepared for the avalanche that came along with selling these, and people were being charged for buying one, and they weren't sure if they actually secured the bag or not. And then a bunch of their employees started getting relatively credible death threats on Twitter. So they've since shuttered their social medias, and they haven't ruled out putting them for sale again. But sounds like that sexy, sleek black PlayStation 5 that's been floating around is no go. So the other night when you said there was still some available, that may have been just one of those things where they didn't shut it down, and yeah, exactly. So Walmart, your ass. So hopefully we'll have some exciting news for you guys next week on PlayStation 5, but I don't want to get into that just yet. So
we have a little exciting news. One other of our group have secured the bag. So,
yes. He secured the very hard to obtain bag.
Yeah, my brother was able to acquire a digital edition, which is what he wanted because he didn't have a PS4. So, yeah.
Very exciting. So hopefully you can see the old same Dick Jared out there playing with us on Ghosts or whatever he's doing. So, yeah. So, kind of some shitty news. The update on the Capcom hack. So I think we touched on this in a previous episode, but initially they kind of announced there was just a few hundred people that got doxxed or whatever with this Capcom. Now it sounds like it's upwards of 16,000 confirmed people, maybe up to 100 to 200 times that. So sounds like this data leak is much worse than it was led to believe. So
I thought the original number was like 16,000, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I just remember they also leaked like a bunch of stuff about their upcoming game plans.
And this coming from GameSpot said, it said at least 16,000 people. So, the number could be 350,000. So,
damn.
Yeah. So, sounds like it's a pretty shitty thing. So, now I have two more quick news stories here for you. Some good news stories for you. Nintendo had one of their little directs, and they debuted another trailer for the Super Mario 3D plus Bowser's Fury.
So what is that? I never played Super Mario 3D. Was that for what was that for?
I have no idea. Do you know it all or no?
Wii U?
So did you guys watch the trailer at all or no? So while you watch it, I'll kind of vamp a little bit here. I don't know a ton about the Mario franchise. I was very big into it up to just the 64 essentially. So I played, the snot out of 64, 1, 2, and 3.
It was a Wii U game that eventually came. That is coming to Switch. So good.
Sounds like
nobody fucking bought the Wii U, and the Wii U had a bunch of good games on it. So
right, and it looks like there's some changes because there's this whole Kaiju Mario that's in the trailer, and you meet this little cat and have these little cats little scratch up on you and do all sorts of things. So it looks cool. I know D, you are a new Switch buyer, so maybe I know the games never go on sale, but maybe down the road maybe we can talk about your thoughts on that. I know, right?
So I know we didn't have it on the list tonight, but those other rumors that came out last week seems to be there's even more and more and more rumors popping around a Switch Pro now.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Yeah.
But they're giving away like it's going to have the same processing chip, but a better screen and some other bells and whistles. Didn't seem like a huge upgrade or anything like that over the OG, but it sounds like it's coming, and people are like, well, Nintendo would have revealed it by now, but apparently, like Nintendo also for like the Switch Minis, they denied that up to like 2 days before they fucking announced it. They denied it, and then just dropped it. So I feel like it's coming and coming soon because they got another direct that's going to happen from what I hear. So
yeah. And they also another kind of Switch news that we weren't going to cover, but they did announce another cool looking Switch. It's the Mario Switch, kind of probably to tie in with this Mario 3D World, where it looks really cool, where it's like red and blue. So the Switch is red and the controllers are blue, and one of the combinations of that. But it's all like the Mario.
It looks like his red shirt and his blue overalls.
It does, yeah. It comes with the case and everything, and all kind of ties together. So if you are a Mario fan and haven't bought a Switch yet, hop in. The water's warm. So the last piece of news here we wanted to cover was a meme going around for a long time. A lot of us were hand wringing. Well, some of us were hand wringing leading up to the PlayStation 5. Will I be able to play my PlayStation 4 games? I don't know what I'm going to be able to play PlayStation 4 games. So the meme was there was 11 to 15 games, and we're like, oh, we're gonna sue PlayStation because there's more and more games.
And by meme, it was just you assholes making fun of me.
For a game called Joe's Diner. So one of these 15
I guess that was a larger meme. Yeah.
One of these 15 games or whatever the number was, a low number of games of the however many 4,000 plus games, wasn't going to be playable on PlayStation 5. Joe's Diner lives. If you want to play Joe's Diner, they did the .ps5 file of it, and now you can play Joe's Diner on your PlayStation 5. So Woods, we can go back.
I don't own Joe's Diner. I've never played Joe's Diner, but I love how Joe's Diner became the game that I get accosted with. It's fine. It's fine.
You do 100%. It was Joe's Diner.
I'm looking at my list right now. I confirmed it right now. There's no Joe's Diner.
It's just funny that was the one random game we picked out from that list to give you shit about. And that's the one that they've come out and been like, hey, we fixed it.
It did become a meme. It did. Now that you were saying, yeah.
Yeah. So I know now Woods would like to give you shit and you take it in good stride. But all you Joe's Diner stands out there can play your Joe's Diner on the PlayStation 5s you probably don't have.
Joe's Diner stands. I like it.
So yeah. So that kind of wraps up the news. I know it was a lot tonight, so I appreciate you guys for hanging in there with us. Fellas, any news on what you've been smoking? Anything sexy on those Camp Chef grills you guys have, or not too much this week?
I didn't do anything this past week, but this weekend I'm planning on doing a nice batch of chicken wings again. So
is there anything going on this weekend at all? Maybe like Saturday afternoon?
I don't know. I know for Vikings fans there ain't.
Hate.
And Bears fans. Oh man. Oh my.
Yeah. Go Pack Go, Bucks and 6. With that being said, that concludes the 26th episode.
Whoa. Slow. Pedal your brakes now. We have an announcement. An announcement.
We ain't done. What you got?
So the poll that was up last week.
Oh, yeah.
The Woods or Wads pile of shame is now concluded. It is over. Nobody is suing to do a recount. There's nobody marching up to my house to try to break in.
You haven't announced the results yet. Yeah.
Good point.
Man Bear Pig is going to come find you.
So with 67% of 1,600,438 votes, the winner is Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. So Remnant Subject 2923 came in second place with around 33% of the vote, and nobody was a fan of the other two. None of the 1,600,000 plus people even voted for Call of Duty or Astro Splitter Room. 0 votes. Shocked at that.
It's a shame
So-
Remnant didn't win. I'm sorry.
But so Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is the winner. I have it downloaded to my console right now. I'm actually looking forward to playing it, as I haven't played a good kart racer in a minute. So, and I think D has it. CJ, I don't know. Do you have that game?
Got it. Yeah.
All right, and then I know. Hashtag our friend Ryan has it as well.
That may be a game that you can get your son into, D, because I bet he would like a racing game.
It's Mario Kart ish, but
Crash.
better.
Yeah, I've never played it before, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we'll hit that up, do some live streams of that. We'll have to plan for sometime later in the week, and if I don't, you can't really beat this game, but we'll play it a fair amount. I don't know.
Oh no.
Is there a single player of which must be conquered?
This game will be beat. Otherwise, we're getting LeBron doing
okay, right. Okay. So if there is a single player that must be conquered, I will conquer it. Or
I think
God
to
forbid.
conquer this if there is no single player game, I think that's going to require the plat.
You just move with the goalpost now. You move with the goalpost. Playing a game, get a platinum. Do different things.
James's powder clap coming out your tushy.
I'm gonna bring it over to your house. I'm gonna shove some fucking foot powder up my butthole and just fart in your face. If that's the case. Right in CJ's face.
Oh man, I'm glad we can close on that one. So Congratulations to Crash Team Racing, the other contestants. If you ain't first, you're last. It's the way I live by it. So with that being said, that concludes the 26th episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. We thank you, the listener, for tuning in to all of our uncut takes and all things video games. We hope you join us each and every week for more Raw Cuts Gaming. If you'd like to be part of the conversation or just tell us what you hate us, we definitely encourage you to reach out. A couple places to get a hold of us: Twitter at Raw Cuts Gaming. We're Raw Cuts Gaming on the Twitch, and we're also Raw Cuts Gaming on YouTube. So any of those will do. If you want to email us for whatever reason, and you can get a hold of us there, rawcutsgaming@gmail.com. You know what to send us. Please send us something, because I'm tired of just archiving my old Twitch archive notifications. So hit us up on the Gmail. If you hit us up on there, we will read your question, and we will make Woods read it, whatever it says. He reads it. He's like Ron Burgundy. So please reach out.
Ron Burgundy?
If people want to get a hold of you, where's the best place to find you? Woodsy, if people want to hear your hot takes, your Twitter beef makes, which has been pretty hot over the last week or so.
Got into it today.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Well, I don't know.
Yesterday, the day before.
Is it nice? I don't know.
It's spicy, man. If people want to find this spice, where can they find you?
You can find me at Woods_or_Wads with a Z.
And if you want to find me, your resident trophy hunting host, you can find me on Twitter at CJ Reindl. And with that, we'll see y'all next week.